Actually, a lot of my friends think that I'm naturally good at learning foreign languages because I now speak multiple foreign languages, English, Spanish, and French, and I never lived outside of China before the age of 19. But it wasn't all that pretty in the beginning. English was never my strong suit. Parents tried everything to improve my English. I had a lot of tutors and I had a lot of extracurricular English classes, but none of them worked. Like a lot of other kids, I couldn't really see the point of learning a foreign language other than for passing English tests. But what benefits do I actually get by learning the language other than for getting good grades? I mean, our English teachers never tried to communicate with us in English, and they probably didn't even speak the language that well as a result of never using it. And it was all about memorizing vocabulary, and the kind of grammar that we were learning was not even useful for having a real conversation. It was just a bunch of techniques for doing multiple choice questions and filling the gaps. But I think being able to speak multiple foreign languages is something that everybody can do. It all comes down to understanding your why for doing something. If you have an intrinsic motivation for doing something and you know how it can change your life and you never give up on your goal, you will be able to achieve it eventually. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys what is intrinsic motivation. So if you're learning the language just for passing a test or something, you probably have an extrinsic motivation. If you don't have a test or something, you're probably not going to start learning the language and you don't really enjoy the process of learning it. You're just learning it for the sake of passing the test. You don't realize how beneficial it is for you beyond the test, and you're not really trying to realize your potential. Whereas if you have an intrinsic motivation, you actually enjoy the process of learning it, and every time when you're able to use a new word or something in a conversation, you get a sense of satisfaction. You enjoy communicating with people so much to the point that after every conversation you have, you just want to go back home and keep learning it, and that's intrinsic motivation right there. That way you can actually develop your interest and realize how it's benefiting you beyond the test. A person who's just doing it for the test is going to forget about it completely after the test. But guess what? Learning a foreign language is an infinite game, not a finite game. And this is actually something that I got from one of my favorite authors, Simon Sinek. A finite game would be something like a basketball game, a running race, or some kind of exam or something because there's a beginning and ending. But love, business, and learning a foreign language are infinite games, right? If you're just doing something for a test, you're probably going to be mediocre, or you might just get the score that you want, or you might even struggle with getting the score that you want because there's no intrinsic motivation that pushes you forward, right? So how do you actually find your interest and develop your interest? I think it's kind of like knowing how to love. If you grew up in a household without a lot of love and care, you may not even possess the ability to love, so you have to feel the love around you and love back. And whenever you love back, you may get a little bit more love from others. You may gain a little bit more love, and you have to feel it. And that motivation really pushes you forward, So if you really want to learn a language well, you have to start learning it and feel the culture and talk to the people and listen to a lot of music and watch the movies, and read a lot of books in that language and do the things that help you develop your interest. And you can also combine language learning with your interest. Whatever it is, just find your intrinsic motivation. And that's how I started developing my interest. I started using the language to communicate with people, and every time I was able to communicate or express an idea, I would get a sense of satisfaction. And every time I was able to watch a movie or something without looking at the subtitles, I would get a sense of satisfaction. And every time when somebody was surprised by the way that I spoke the language, I would get a sense of satisfaction. Then I realized that learning foreign languages actually changed my life, and it helped me realize my potential. I was able to explore many different cultures around the world and forge a lot of long-term friendships with people from many different parts of the world. I was able to develop my career as a result of learning foreign languages. I was able to live many different lifestyles within one single life. And it just became so evident to me that interest is your best teacher. So you really have to find your intrinsic motivation to learn something well. And you really have to enjoy the process, and you have to turn it into an infinite game.